My ummah, he will say, Rasulullah on that day, even though we've strayed from him and his way. My brothers, my sisters in Islam, let's struggle, work and pray, if we are to bring back the glory of his way. Ya Allah, Ya Rabb al-Alameen, Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahim.
We thank Allah for His mercy, for sparing our lives up to this moment. It is not by our power, but by His might that He has spared our life. We send blessings and salutations to the best of mankind, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And our topic for today, which we have widely circulated, is on registry and marriage and Nikah. The topic is reconciling registry with Nikah, challenges and solutions. We have gone to one of the arbiters to bring one of us.
He was here when Malam Yusuf Ali was here, and it is his turn to anchor or be our lecturer today. So his name is Professor Fumini Abiodun Rahim Adeleke. Is the Dean of Faculty of Law, Lagos State University, Odo. He has, as you will expect of a prof, his resume is a very long one, but he has decided to summarize it to what we not turn to another lecture for us today. So we'll start from his membership of our association. We know that as a lawyer, he should be a member of Nigerian Bar Association. He's equally a member of Nigerian Association of Law Teachers, and perhaps the one that I know that is recent is the president of Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria. He's equally the legal advisor, stroke patron of National Association of Muslim Law Students. He has held so many positions, some of which he was the Secretary of Muslim Students at Polytechnic Ibadan, 1985 to 1987, all rep in Obafemi Awolowo. You see his journey, that is a person that has penchant for knowledge. He did not allow the fact that he went to Poly first to debar him from acquiring his law degree. When he was the Amir of Muslim Corporate Association of Nigeria, Lagos branch, 1995 to 1996, as at now, he was also, he is a member of Board of Trustees of Fatih Qorib Islamic Society of Nigeria, member of Board of Trustees Muslim Prisoners Welfare Organization of Nigeria, national president. I think we have said that before. And is a professor of law. For someone to be the dean of law of LASU, Above all, he is one of us. He is married with children. I don't know whether I should say that he was or he is a member of Muslim Student Society of Nigeria. He was. So, please, Muslim Student Society, MSSN, please join me in welcoming our dear Professor of Law, the Dean of Faculty of Arts, Lagos State University, Professor Fumini Abiodun Rahim Adeleke, to deliver a lecture to us on registry and Nikah, challenges and solutions.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. With due respect to the learned senior in our midst, I think my brother is here. Any other learned senior that might be on ground? As it is customary in our own legal profession, we normally give respect to the senior in bar. If there is anybody who is my senior here, I have to salute you. And here there is matter not to commit the contempt of tradition. I think I have to greet the elders too. Then for all others, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The paper given to me is reconciling registry marriage with Nikah. I think the answer to it, prima facie, on the face of it, is that how will it be possible to reconcile two things of different nature? But the word reconciling, as even explained, the possibility of the two having different nature. That's why the word reconciling is used. That we know that both of them are not of the same type. They are different types. But how can we reconcile the two to prevent crisis? And there are two clarifications I made in this paper. First of all, we need to have it at the back of our mind that marriage is universal. Marriage is universal in Islam and in any other religion, which means if you marry anywhere in the world, it is recognized in another country. If somebody married in India, Russia, Germany, anywhere you might have conducted your marriage, when you come to Nigeria, what we need is evidence that you got married. It is recognized. Marriage universal all over the world, subject to the variants that we are having now. That's the first clarification. The first clarification, let me explain further, is that we are talking about a marriage that was conducted or that is conducted under English law. That's statutory marriage. Marriage that was conducted or is conducted under English law, that's statutory marriage. So people call it court marriage, is the same thing. Some people call it English marriage, is the same thing. Some people call it one man, one wife, is the same thing. But for the purpose of this paper, whenever I say statutory marriage, we are referring to that marriage. It is different from Christian marriage. I think we should note that. Some lawyers too, they still make mistake. They will refer to statutory marriage as Christian marriage. No. The fact that you celebrate your marriage in a church does not automatically convert it to statutory marriage unless that church has the license to conduct statutory marriage. And that is why some Christians, they find it difficult to understand. In fact, in some cases, it's only the court that will nullify that marriage, because they will believe that they conducted statutory marriage by going to church. Unless your church is licensed, even if the church is licensed, there are some 4 requirements you must have undertaken along with that church celebration to make it statutory marriage. That's why most of them will still go to registry. To that, it is normal for them, because the implication of Christian marriage that is valid and that of statutory marriage, the implication is the same. They are the same in characters and features. Another calculation here which you must note here is that we are talking of a valid nikah, not a defective Islamic marriage. There are some Islamic marriages that are defective. Even those who conduct that marriage, those who underwent that marriage, may not know. They may not know that the marriage is defective. So we are talking of a valid nikah here. The third calculation is this. We are talking of heterosexual marriages. Whatever I discuss in this paper does not extend to homosexual marriages, gay marriages, contract marriages, and there are many nowadays. So we are talking of heterosexual marriage between a man and a woman, and the paper is valid only to the extent of discussing that. Having clarified, then let us go to the types of marriages that Nigerian legal system recognizes. Nigerian system recognizes 3 different marriages: customary marriage, Islamic marriage, and statutory marriage, which I have explained before. Each of these marriages has its own peculiar features and characteristics. That is, before you can say a customary marriage is valid, there are certain things that must be present. Before you can say statutory marriage is valid, there are certain things that must be present. Before you can say that nikah marriage is valid, there are certain things that must be present. So let's start with statutory marriage for us to look at the characteristics. The most important characteristics of statutory marriage, which you may call Christian marriage, quote and unquote, is this. It is defined in the case of Eid and Eid. There is a voluntary union of a man and a woman to the exclusion of all others. It's just a statement, but that statement, there are 3 characteristics under that statement. A voluntary union between a man and a woman to the exclusion of all others. The first thing is that a union must be established. And how that union is established? Don't let us waste our time on that. If this lecture is for validity of marriage, we would have gone into it. There must be a union. The union must be between a man and a woman, and it must exclude a third party. Having explained that there are 3 legal systems, there are 3 marriages recognized by Nigerian government: customary marriage, Islamic marriage, and Christian marriage. You are expected to marry under one of these systems. You are not expected to marry under 2 or 3, so that there will be no competition. You want to marry under English law, you marry statutory marriage, you go to, what do you call it, registry, and get it done. You want to marry under Islamic law, you do the nikah. And whatever certificate they give you, whether you are Salatul group, companion, or whatever, that's your certificate. If you want to marry under customary law, you do it. You do so, and nothing is being given under customary law, but it is recognized. Nobody can challenge it that because it has no record, it is not done. You go by acknowledgement of paternity and consent of both parties that they are married. The problem we are looking at today is a situation whereby somebody marries or a couple marry under Islamic law, at the same time marry under statutory. That is the problem. That's what we are looking at today, and that's what we want to reconcile. If you marry under Islamic legal system, that is, you conduct a nikah, the characteristics and features of your marriage differ completely from if you marry under statutory law, statutory marriage. And the simple one that we know is this: Islamic law is polygamous. Islamic marriage is polygamous in nature. Statutory marriage is monogamous in nature. Recently, some of our sisters and brothers, they have indulged in the habit of conducting the nikah and later go to registry. So we go to registry on Friday and do the nikah later. But whether you do one before the other, what is common is that people conduct the Nikah first and now go to registry. And one of the reasons, there are 5 reasons that scholars have posited that made these people to conduct marriages under 2 different systems. One of the reasons is that they want to take advantage of benefits of one system of marriage, which is not in existence in the other system. Secondly, some of them prefer monogamous relationship. That is one man, one wife. But it might be difficult for them to say it out so that people will not condemn them. So they will first of all do the Nikah and later go for registry. The third reason is that some people want to show wealth and status. Some people believe that if you don't have certificates from government, your status is low in the society, so they want to go for that. Some due to peer pressure, that I have my sister who did it, I have to do it. Some of my friends are doing it, I have to do it. Out of peer pressure. And some people, because they want to satisfy religious doctrine, not that they believe in religious doctrine, not that they believe in that Nikah, but because they want to satisfy them, that doctrine or that doctrinal stipulations. Maybe because people know them to be Abu Rashid, Rashidat, whatever. But they prefer monogamous relationship. They just to satisfy that doctrine, they will conduct Nikah. Whatever reason that might have made somebody to do both, it is not our own concern. But I believe some people did it inadvertently, ignorantly. Some people did it deliberately. Some who did deliberately, for valid reason, quote and unquote, we leave them to Allah. But those who did it under negligence, due to negligence, Allah will not punish you for something you did that you do not know. The Prophet said there are 3 things Allah will not punish somebody for. The scholars are here. Something that happened in your sleep, when you have no brain, and something that you don't know, and you did, or something that you are forced to do. Under the Islamic criminal legal system, we use those ones to know, to impute intention, whether it is there or not. So don't let us go to reason why people do that specifically, but generally those are the reasons. Let's look at challenges. If you conduct Nikah marriage and English marriage, there are a lot of challenges which we are going to look at in this paper. The theme is coined, what we have done is coined as double-decker marriage. You know, we know double-decker bus or car, or double-decker bus or bed. One in the other one on top. So they call it double-decker marriages. It's a coin name given to it. And when you double-deck marriage, there are various scholars. I'm talking of jurists, the legal scholars. They have discussed this a lot, and they are divided into 2 blocks. We have those who we call conversionist people. They believe in conversion theory. And we have those we call coexistence theorists. They believe that the 2 marriages coexist. First of all, let us go to conversion theory. The theorists who believe that you have converted your Nikah into monogamous marriage, they are more than those who believe that both marriages coexist. They believe that if you are comfortable with that Nikah, you would not have gone to registry. But by going to the registry, it means that you are not comfortable with the Nikah. Then the nature, characteristics and features, legal incidents and consequences that we attend. So, okay, what we are saying is that the implication of doing that will change completely the Nikah which you have done before. The conversionist theory believe that you have converted your Nikah into monogamous marriage, so that Nikah is no longer valid, it's non-existing. And that you cannot claim to be a Muslim wanting to live your life as a Muslim. In fact, there are authorities, there are judicial authorities on this. That immediately you do the registry, that Nikah is gone, is dead. And you cannot just say, yes, I'm a Muslim. Yes, you are a Muslim to the extent of praying and fasting. You are a Muslim to the extent of attending as-salatu and the rest. But you are not a Muslim to the extent of wanting your life to be regulated by Islam with respect to custody of children, with respect to divorce, with respect to marriage itself, and with respect to dissolution or devolution of your property when you die. You have converted it. A lot of jurists have posited that this is the position. And let me give you cases. It is possible for us, because it's a legal lecture, it is possible for us to say, no, it can't be done. But if there is a judicial precedent, there's nothing you can do until it's overturned. Courts have consistently urged, and I'll give you 3 cases, that if you have conducted Nikah and you now do registry, that Nikah is no longer in existence. Let me say the case of Teriba and Ricket. If they project, we will see, but the paper will be circulated. In the case of Teriba, the court said the true position is that the customary marriage is converted by the act marriage, which in effect supersedes it. Therefore, if the act marriage is subsequently dissolved, the customary marriage cannot revive. That's the position of the court. That immediately you conduct act marriage, after you might have conducted customary marriage, which is customary marriage is equivalent of Nikah too. If you conduct act, that first marriage is gone. And if for whatever reason they dissolve that act marriage, you cannot revive the customary marriage or Nikah again. You have to go and do it again if you want. Then another thing, apart from the cases on it, I give you 3 cases on this.
Please, the papers will be circulated.
The paper.
We have the paper. Just listen attentively.
So they are found? No, the case, I said Teriba, the case of Teriba and Ricket. Yes, in that case, what happened was that,
Please, listen attentively, please.
they challenged in court that we did customary marriage and that customary marriage is valid. The whole village, everybody knew about it, and a lot of witnesses. The act marriage is just what we did because of societal pressure, whatever. And the court said, no, when you did that act marriage, you have converted that initial marriage to the present one. Even let's think of it logically. If you do, the rule of logic is that when you do 2 things, the first one and the second one, the latter one supersedes the initial one. That's the rule of logic. So I've given you 3 cases on that. But you know, one thing which makes it difficult for you to say no is this, and it makes it difficult for any court to rule against that is this. Section 33 of the Marriage Act, Section 33 of the Statutory Marriage Act, it states something as if it has envisaged that such a thing will happen. It says, no marriage in Nigeria. Are we listening? It's a pity that they cannot project it.
No, we soon project it.
Okay. No marriage in Nigeria shall be valid where either of the parties to it at the time of celebration of such marriage is married under customary law to any other person other than the person with whom such marriage is had. Let me explain. What this law is saying is that no marriage you conduct in Nigeria will be valid if it's a marriage under English law. It will not be valid if at the time of conducting that marriage, either party, whether the wife or the husband, had initially got married under customary or Nikah. Then the law now goes further. It says except or other than the person with whom you are conducting that marriage now. Which means it is the same person. If it is the 2 of you that are conducted Nikah or customary before, and the 2 of you are now before the registry wanting to conduct, it will be valid. But if it is either of you who have conducted Nikah or customary before, and you now come before registry, that registry marriage will not be valid. You see, it will be as if it assembly said that people will not be satisfied with their own Nikah, they will come. Section 3 of that law is there, which means by implication no court can say no. If you do Nikah and you do registry, that Nikah is gone, because that registry will be valid, because the Nikah occurred between the two of you who are also before the registry. I think it's understood. Okay. Now, the implication finally is this: where a Muslim couple married under the Islamic law, which is polygamous in nature, are we listening? And the same couple married under acts or registry, which is monogamous in nature, they turn their polygamous marriage to monogamous. And that's the position of the court, Owochukwu and Owochukwu. That position of the court, Owochukwu and Owochukwu. Then the question arose before the court: if it is possible to turn polygamous marriage to monogamous when you conduct monogamous marriage later, is it not possible for you to convert polygamous marriage to is it not possible to convert monogamous marriage to polygamous? The court said no. Yes, in the case of Cheney and Cheney, the same thing, Bata and Bata. Cheney and yes, and Beta and Beta. The court said no. The court said the reason is this: some people will be prejudiced. Somebody in that marriage will be prejudiced. And you know, this is not always look at somebody is more vulnerable. And women are more vulnerable than men. That if you now want to turn monogamous to polygamous, you are inviting some other people. Somebody somewhere will be dissatisfied. So the court said no. It is inconceivable. And the case of Odivia and Odive too. Nwogugu, Professor Nwogugu supported all this, Sergeant supported it, and some other scholars. So that is enough on conversion theory. I think we understand now. Let's go to the second theory, coexistence theory. The coexistence theory implies that both marriages are valid and they are coexisting. If you married under you did the Nikah and you did the statutory marriage, the coexistence theorists, they believe that both marriages are valid and they coexist. One does not supersede the other. And that's the case of Afena and Afome. And that is him and Lokotebo. So in those two cases, that is the position. Uwais of Supreme Court, he now said, it is never intended by his practice that the marriage under the Act should nullify the customary marriage. Which brings us to Supreme Court, they recognize that both marriages are in existence. But let me clarify, they are in existence to the extent of if you want to divorce, you are going to divorce in two separate courts. It makes it difficult. You will divorce the Nikah, then you divorce the statutory. Something like this always cause wahala sometimes, a lecture like this, because some people may think that, okay, I think the Nikah is gone. When the woman now realizes that it's not gone, then she can go to court. Yes, if you want to do that, well, Mr. Majimita is here, and some other lawyers. Pay money, they will do it for you. Which means if you have done the two before, and the man has just did it alive, and that's it to go out, you can go back to court that he is still validly married to you. Because of the Supreme Court, the position is that both of them exist. Although your character has been changed, you cannot say I'm a Muslim, I want to live my whole life in Islam. They are not saying that. That one is given. That you have decided to live your life as a liberal Muslim. But what they are saying is that if you want to divorce, you have to do both. Go to High Court to divorce the other one, then the Sharia court or whoever can do that for you will do the second one. So let's leave the So we understand the two theories now. Now let's move. The challenge is the Muslims in the country, we have one serious challenge. That challenge is that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, item 61 of exclusive legislative list, the Constitution puts the issue of marriage under exclusive legislative list, which means it's federal government that can make laws on marriage. But it now says, with the exception of Islamic marriage and customary marriage, people will think that it is normal because the Constitution believes that why would the federal government intervene in our matters? Because that is item 61, like I said, of the exclusive legislative list says that the court, it says that the federal government has the right and only right to make laws with regards to marriage. But federal government will not have the right to make law with on the marriages that involve customary or nikah. By implication, we can never have a law in Nigeria that will support Muslim throughout the Nigeria. No. But each state has the right to make laws with regard to the marriages that are conducted in their own separate or individual states. By implication now, every state, Lagos State, Ogun State, Oyo State, every state will be the one that will regulate the marriages under it, if it is customary marriage and Islamic marriage. In Nigeria, apart from the Kwara that is close to us, and that's why when people conduct Islamic marriage, we started that one about 7 or 8 years ago, and you don't have certificate. We will ask you to go to Sharia court in Ilorin. You go there with, I don't know if company has not done that, you can do it through the lawyers you have. Collect all your certificates, all the one you got in Asalatu and whatever, Nasrat, everywhere. Anywhere you might have gotten the Nikah, whatever, the certificate. That is evidence of Islamic marriage. You cannot give to evidence to Sharia Court of Appeal. Sharia Court of Appeal will now issue something to you that will show that you marry. Have you understood? So that one is recognized. That's the palliative measure we've been doing for the past 7 years. So instead of going with the one that is signed by one Sheikh Rahim, you go with the one that is done by Sharia Court. At least it gives confidence to some of our sisters. When you are going to embassy or you are going for NYSC and they see court, Sharia Court of Appeal, so evidence of marriage, they recognize and give you respect. And that's how the country they do that. So I think practically, because they said they want this lecture to be practical, those of you who have not done that, give it to not Amiro. I'm talking of lawyers. Give it to Mr. Bajimite. He will know how to do those things. And you are paying because you have to pay there. You have to pay there. You sort it out. Companion will sort that one out. But we want it to be practical so that people will not just be going with a certificate that is written by one, even if it is MSSN, it is still not as recognized as that of that court. My suggestion is this, and if the companion too we agree with this suggestion, we should make it practical and take steps towards doing it. The suggestion is this: we should, in our respective states, decide to lobby the government so that a law will be made with respect to Muslim marriage in that state. That also state has been done. It remains signature. Since Osun State has done that, when it is finally signed into law, Lagos can replicate it and other states. But unless you take steps, the people will not do that. So I want us to take steps. Companion can take that step so that we copy what Osun State has done a law will be made that will recognize your marriages. I call it Muslim Marriage Registration and Validation Law. Muslim Marriage Registration and Validation Law. That's the what I suggest the name to be. Muslim Marriage and Validation Law. And I believe Lagos State will not say no. The reason is this. I have 7 arguments that can make Lagos State to think that they want to do it. Let me give you 2 of them. Statistically, nobody knows in Lagos State the number of the Muslim marriages in Lagos State. Second, when we are talking of women who are Muslim in Lagos State, who are marriageable age and they are married, there is no statistics. Third, if Lagos State allows this thing to be done, and that's law, I will go to registry, you register your marriage, you get a certificate, minimum of 10,000 naira. Imagine the number of Nikah that's conducted every week. They know the amount that will come here every week. The fifth reason I have is this. It does not cost Lagos State government extra money because we have registry in all those local government already. Just give a day Muslim marriage validation and whatever law, registration and validation law. They will be sitting, they will be conducting that thing once in a week. During the week, couple will just go there. We marry also. This is what we got from our MSSA. This is what we got from companion. Then they will register it and give you the certificate which will be recognized. So it does not cost them extra money. It does not cost them going to court. The only thing it costs them is to train the personnel. And can be among the personnel. There is no where you go in Lagos State that you don't have a Muslim. There is no local government you go that you don't have a Muslim. In fact, in some cases, the Muslim will be among those one who will be conducting that registry marriages. So it doesn't cost them money. So with all this, we can take it up and make it practical so that we have it in Lagos State. That's my suggestion. If we have it, maybe that one will not make our sisters who believe that NYC will not recognize it, embassy will not recognize, that will not make them to opt for statutory marriage after the Nikah. That is the suggestion. Now, any possible reconciliation, when you are given a topic, you must adapt to that topic. They want us to reconcile it. We know the conversion theory, we know the coexistence theory. Any possible reconciliation. I will give you 5 things that will not make it reconcilable, and I'll give you 1 thing that will make it reconcilable. One of the 5 things that make it not reconcilable is this. The first one is section 307. The section 370 of the criminal code. It makes it a crime and the punishment is 7 years imprisonment. If you conduct any other marriage after statutory marriage. So for brothers who have done Nikah and later go to registry, if you take second wife, you reach 7 years imprisonment. Really? Yeah, that is the law. Really? Yeah, that is the law. Really? Okay, they said pere. Then no, that is the law. Don't forget. Don't forget that we have said, please. Don't forget that we have said that you have converted your Nikah to statutory marriage. If you now take the second wife, section 370 of the criminal code applies. 7 years imprisonment. Somebody said Adeleke. So what we are saying now is this. Because that one is monogamous in nature. Are you listening? Islam, Quran 1:3 allows a Muslim to marry more than one. It's polygamous in nature. So that's the first irreconcilability. Because you cannot reconcile monogamous and polygamous nature. You can't. So it is not reconcilable. That's 1. 2, the validity of marriage. The validity of marriage under Islamic law, we all know it. About 3 or 4. I mean, We have many affairs here who have conducted Nikah, but 3 or 4. The validity of marriage under the statutory marriage is more than that. And one of them that might be very reconcilable with that of Islam is that the consent of the parents may be there. Yes, the consent of the lady may be there. But the situation whereby a lady is of age, 18 years, she might not bother about the consent of the parents. She can decide to go ahead. So, and because of time, another thing is this: celebration. The way it is done under the act is different from that of Nikah. In fact, you have to put sorry, I have to be careful of time. You have to think of certain requirements. The requirements are not the same. Let me go to the third one. The third one is when you die without a will. Death without a will in a double-decker marriage. The implication is very fatal. The reason is this. I have 2 cases, 2 authorities here, including Supreme Court. Your property can only be distributed, not in accordance with Islamic law. It will be in accordance with the law existing in the state where you die. Administration of estate law in Lagos State is here, or under the Marriage Act. The Marriage Act has stipulated how the thing is going to be done. Administration of estate law in Lagos State has stipulated how the thing is going to be done. So if you die without a will and you have conducted double-decker marriage, it is possible for any of your siblings, it is possible for your wife, your children, to now go to court to challenge it. In that wise, because we say that you cannot be guided, or you cannot be, that the Islamic law cannot be made applicable to you with respect to the distribution of your estate, because you have changed the character. So that one too will be irreconcilable. And the fourth one, because I have to be careful of the time, I'm giving you 2 cases on that. The fourth one, children born out of wedlock. If a child is born out of wedlock and you have conducted statutory marriage, there are 5 or 6 cases on it. And those cases, they are not saying the same thing. Court of appeal cases, one is saying A, another one is saying B. 2 cases from Court of appeal states that if you die and you have children out of wedlock will not inherit. They are children of adulterous relationship if you marry under the act. But there are 2 other Court of appeal that said no, they will inherit, because section 39(2), which is now section 42 of the Constitution, states that no person shall be discriminated against on account of circumstances of his birth. As a result of that section 42, Court of appeal said no, they have to inherit. It doesn't matter whether children of adultery or whatever. In fact, don't qualify it. They are children of this man. They have to inherit. No, we were looking for Supreme Court to make pronouncement. But in case of Warioku, in the case of Warioku and Salubi, I think Supreme Court made us to realize that section 42 of the Constitution will make such a person to inherit, even though he's born out of wedlock. Under the Maliki law, it is not possible. I believe so. Is it? Am I right? Okay, I think in Islam, if it's under the Nikah, the child out of wedlock will not inherit. But there might be some other scholars in Islam that will allow some people to inherit. But we are talking of Maliki law. So what we are saying, that one is not reconcilable, which means the children born out of wedlock will inherit in a particular system of marriage, but another system of marriage, which is our own Nikah, it is not possible. So the 5th one, adoption. If you see the case of Keja and Okeje, Mojeko and Ejikeme, all those cases confirm what I'm saying. Then the 5th one, adoption. In the Quran Allah says, I think Quran, I think Surah Al-Azab, so that adoption is not recognized in Islam. They can't be you can't take them as your children. You can treat them like your children, but they cannot be your children. But under adoption law, when you marry under the act, definitely you marry under the act, it is compulsory. Those children that you have adopted, they can inherit. In fact, there is no difference between them and your children. So I give you those 5 irreconcilable features. Those 5 irreconcilable features. Then the one that is reconcilable, that I see that is present in both marriages, is this: answering the husband name or your father's name. I'm talking to the ladies now. In Islam, you can decide not to change your name to that of your husband. The same way in statutory marriage, there is no law, it's not written anywhere. People just take it as if it is conventional. That when you get married, you must change your name to that of the husband. No, it's not that it's written somewhere. It's a conventional practice in English country that we have adopted. So if a woman decides not to do that, you know, when feminism succeeded to some extent, they are now combining the name. If the name is Adeleke, the surname of the woman is Adeleke, it will now be Adeleke and Isaac. So they combine it together. It will be Rashida Adeleke Isaac. They combine the name together. But in both Nikah and English law, a woman has in fact, somebody stupidly went to court and challenged the wife in divorce, that the wife supposed to change the name, drop his name, that the wife continue to use his name, that is wrong. And the court said, what do you mean? His name, for anybody has the right to answer any name. Yes. So the lady might decide not to drop that name. And court said, what have you said? The only reason why you can say that the lady should drop the name is when you have evidence that she has used that name for fraudulent means, in a way that will affect you. Even it is fraudulent as if you want going to prison on her own, it doesn't concern you. But if she has done it in a way that can affect you, it is then you can complain. The same thing with Nikah. That is only a reconcilable feature for women. Otherwise, the 5 irreconcilable feature still hold. Now, I now want to say that it is still possible for us, those who have done the Nikah and the statutory marriage, it is still possible for us to go ahead, provided this thing can happen. You make sure that you do not take any step towards benefiting from that statutory marriage throughout the time you live your life as husband and wife. At the same time, you do not take any step to prevent anything you perceive to be disadvantage as a result of being in Nikah marriage. I don't know whether I'm making sense. Yes, you have conducted Nikah and statutory marriage, and maybe you think that, why will I bother to go and nullify it now, this or that. Ọjọ́ ti lọ. You can decide to do it this way. Make sure you have not taken any step that somebody can refer to towards benefiting from such statutory marriage. And don't make sure you have not taken any step that somebody can refer to towards preventing what you perceive to be disadvantage of being in Nikah marriage. You don't understand? Okay. I give you an example. Okay, example is this. Example is this. You are married. You now want to buy property or open an account. You open an account in the name of your wife and yourself. Islamically, a woman has the right to her own property, distinct from that of the husband. If you have been taking that step, margin. Some people, when they want to even buy land, it will be, maybe the name is Rashidat and the name of husband is Rashid. That will be on the survey plan. That will be on the CFO. It will be on everything. You have been living a life that shows that you are matching your lifestyle with that of the English statutory marriage. And those one can refer to when you die, they can go to court and nullify the fact that you say you are married, that your property should not be distributed in line with Islamic law, but with the statutory acts. That is one. Two, if your husband takes another wife, you might decide, even though you know it's your right, to challenge it in court. That after all, you have done something, you may decide not to take any step. You are living the life of Islam. If there is a possibility of that ban doing any other thing or taking any step that you know you can challenge, and the basis of challenging it will be because you have statutory marriage in existence, ignore it. And when you die, make sure that your children will not refer to that statutory marriage. Because sometimes people will die, immediately they die, it is the children that will go to court. Maybe a woman will say that, okay, I'm a woman, they are going to give me half of what they give to a man. And after all, I'm the only one who is very serious among them. I was the one who assisted Baba so much. By the time you are saying that, with me, you will be referring to that statutory marriage. If only you can decide to live your life without referring to it, without taking benefit or advantage of it, then what you have committed before you have committed it. Otherwise, you can go to court and have it nullified. If you go to court and say you want to nullify it because you conducted the car and you conducted that one, and you now realize the implication is antithetical to your religion, provided the husband and wife are, provided there is consensus at them. What? Consensus. Because provided there is consensus between the two of them, between the man and the woman, you go to court, you say you want to, without prejudice to the issue of condemnation. The lawyers like they know what I'm talking about. The court will allow that, so that it will be dissolved. The marriage will be dissolved, and both of it will be as if it has never existed. If you can do that, the husband and wife. But if one person wants to do it, it will not be possible. In fact, it's like people will come to that court the first day, they will wait for the adjourned date, and on the adjourned date, court will be fuller. We want to see the alaja fighting over such a thing. So if both of you agree, let us dissolve this statutory marriage. You can do that. But without that, if you have been taking benefits, and you now die, you think your life, your devolution, your property is going to be distributed in accordance with Islamic law. It will not be so. That is the only thing I can say. The last one, which may still be interesting for us, is this: bigamy. You know, don't forget I said 7 years imprisonment. If you marry after the act, after you have conducted the statutory marriage, 7 years. In Lagos State, it's no longer an offense. In Lagos State, it's no longer an offense. There is no particular section of the law, because somebody may say, what section of the law? There is no particular section of the law. Because bigamy is an offense, a criminal offense, that you have to be prosecuted by the Attorney General of the state. But nobody can be prosecuted for an offense unless that offense is in a written law. We have authority of that. Come authority will side, but let me cite the recent authority, Bode Judge, and the state, this splitting of contract. He got all those people say that you cannot punish somebody for an offense that's not in a written law. Since bigamy is no longer a written law in Lagos State, they have removed it since 2011. If you marry under the act now in Lagos State, and the second day your husband decide to marry another wife, there is nothing you can do. That is the law in Lagos State. No, quote me. That's the law in Lagos State as of today. But some of you may decide, Salaam alaikum. Some of you may now decide. Some of you may now decide to go to your town, maybe your grandfather's town or grandmother's town or state, to do the statutory marriage there, so that if anything happens. But in Lagos, there is no way. It's no more an offense in Lagos. You have only right to, don't let me go to that. See the lawyers. Finally, let him come home. Salam alaikum. So for those of us who might have taken those steps, and we think that we need to write our will. Even if you have not taken such steps and you think you need to write your will, some people have lived a very complex life. That is when they die. The Islamic law will find people to even, because they have not lived that Islamic law or Islamic life. If you are to write will, this will guide you into writing a perfect and valid will. Am I understood? That is one. Two, if you know under Islam, you have the right to distribute 1/3 of your property the way you like. Have you ever? This thing, because there are some of us who have the right akida, quote and unquote, they will tell you that Abraham went somewhere and he was telling people to be writing will. The Islam does not support that. They will tell you that what I quoted, it has been abrogated by another verse of the Quran. I'm not an Islamic scholar, and that's not what I'm saying. But if it is the 1/3 that you have the right to distribute, you can use this one to write that one, so that I think when you die, people will not be burdened by that 1/3. You have somebody that you want the property, some of the property to go to, which you know that when you after you might have died, some of your members of the family or your children might not want the thing to go to him. You can give that person by writing, put him among the 1/3, and this one can guide you into writing a valid will. Now, I don't know whether I have any of my students here. Do I have any of my students? You? I don't know. Okay. If I have any of my students, is a companion member. Another person is okay. 3. Okay. So if I have any of them, if you have problem with this, consult them. It might not be so easy to. Otherwise, when you come, I will charge you. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. But before the contribution, I want to take us to 2 verses of the Quran. Quran chapter 5 verse 45. Quran chapter 5 verse 47. In 45, Allah says, and we ordain for them therein a life for a life, an eye for an eye, a nose for a nose, an ear for an ear, a tooth for a tooth. And for once is legal retribution. But whoever gives up his rights as charity, it is an expiation for him. And whoever does not judge by what Allah has revealed, then it is those who are zalimun, wrongdoers, polytheists. Number 2, when you go to 47, Allah says, and let the people of the gospel judge by what Allah has revealed therein. And whoever does not judge by what Allah has revealed, then it is those who are fasikun, rebellious and disobedient. So, all of us that have done this thing in the past, keep these 2 verses and other verses in the Quran in your minds, that what I will reserve this as the last. Let the people that are learned talk on it. We are going to have contribution from Ustaz Zikula Hassan and Barrister Faji Mitchell.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me thank our distinguished professor who has done more than enough justice to the issue. Like the name said, this lecture is about issues that has happened, is currently happening, and will happen for a long time unless we make a break. We have a case of a couple who listened to lecture like this, and both of them decided to relinquish the double-decker marriage which they did. The husband, with the agreement of the wife, went to court. But when the wife saw the process of divorce from the court, she developed cold feet. And it's an issue we are trying to resolve. The issue of distribution of estates, according to the Sharia, I'm sure we have discussed that here. We already have a committee which will come out with the final document on it. We hope it will be able to correct some of the problems that may arise out of litigation, because that's just the fear. For those of our brothers and sisters who are still married under the Act, or who have this double-decker marriage, I'm sure by now they should be thinking of one way out to it. But we still have a challenge, which it means that we still need to go to court to go and test even some of the recipe provided by our professor. He is of the view that if both parties are in court seeking for divorce by mutual agreement, that the court will be able to dissolve that marriage on that basis of canvassing that we are Muslims, this we did out of ignorance. We will still need to test that in the court. We will still need to test that in the court, because I'm sure now some went into it out of ignorance. How did they get out of it? Since even the issue of inheritance that we have, why it become problem is because people are married around the Act. And the Islamic law of inheritance is always direct opposite to that of the rules that guide us under the Act. Now we need to go and test in the court that if both parties say we are happy with each other, but we are not happy with the statutory marriage, and that's the only reason why we want this court to divorce. I'll be too happy to see the court in our favor, to give, because the conditions for divorce is what actually frightens the sister. That was why she ran out of agreement, because to divorce there must be certain conditions. Both parties must have been separately for 2 years. Otherwise, you have to canvass reasons which may include adultery or assault and battery, maltreatment, because the court will agree for you to go your different ways. But it will be good if the court can agree with us that yes, because of our faith, we want to go apart. One thing the Prof has said, which is now left for the companion to promote, as usual we have promoted a lot. We were involved in what came out of Usrah. I actually am happy to lecturer Sabila, who were involved, I actually came with the law here, that's the law. And in southwestern Nigeria, it's only Usrah state that has recognized the need for us to move further, that Islamic marriage can be registered. I am sure that although even me have seen some of the clauses there which may be somewhat offensive to the Islamic prescription of, for instance, divorce, which means we may still need some improvement on it. But I think one thing that has come from this lecture is we should live here with a way to promote a bill to be passed to be passed by the House of Assembly and assembled by governors of each state in southwestern Nigeria, recognizing Islamic marriage, recognizing the fact that Islamic marriage can be registered, and so that it can be a document backed by government that this is fine. And for instance, we will need to have mosque or Islamic organization registered, appointed by the government to issue certificates of marriage. All this we need to do, but I think the companion is up to the task. The lecture is quite instructive, and we are not, that's why we say it's practical. You just want to listen to it and go and sleep. We'll take your advice, we follow the steps of the people of the state of Osun, and see how we can do the same, not just only in Lagos State, but in actual in Southwestern Nigeria. And luckily, as the president of Muslim Law Association of Nigeria, I'm sure we serve as a consultant, and this time it will be gratuitous. Thank you so much.
The topic is as important yesterday as it is today. The discipline of the companion was saying our children, Prof, our children, and I want to say many of us here did that. Many people that are here, many couples that are here, married among our own contemporaries, actually committed that mistake. I call it mistake, but how they did not know. But what is worrisome is that many mothers are still pushing their daughters to convince or confuse their hobbies to go and do solitary marriage, maybe out of ignorance or selfishness. So we are going to do about the complications that they are planting for the couples. And I want to tell you, in my own view, and it has been confirmed by the professor of law, there is virtually no advantage for your daughter as the side of the marriage. Totally no advantage. Of course, that will not be, because anybody that chooses to push his hands against Allah cannot get an advantage. And that is guilty. That is one. The second one, I'm saying from that, is that the take home for all of us today. And the essence of this topic is that all of us will get to see the process of having to go and conduct a certificate or what they call court marriage. We should not do that as store as Muslims. And Israeli, in fact, the Prophet empower us to practice of the Quran. And another verse of Surah Al-Azab, we have read that when Allah and His Prophet are decided on you, nobody is able to have an option. We cannot have a better way of doing anything about our life except as prescribed by Allah and His Prophet. If we are indeed Muslims, there cannot be any shortcut to it. And all of us will probably say that Islam is a way of life. If we believe that is a way of life, and marriage is a very essential part of life, then why do you want to preach your friends against the practice of Allah? And Allah said, "Is not one of us who, as the Prophet has said, that is not one of us who does not want to marry. Why do you want to marry? Not in accordance with the practice of Islam." Now, the legal rules have been raised by the professor. People who have done it either deliberately or inadvertently, can they get out of it? My brother, the staff and I now, being a lawyer that I am also, have told us the challenges we are going to be confronted with. If people need to join, I think the couple now decide now we want to put aside this particular marriage under the act, or court marriage. I can tell you it's going to be very difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. The reason that grounds for the solution of marriages are statutorily prescribed in the Maternal Persons Act, Section 15 of it. Those are that are lawyers, there are many that are lawyers. These grounds are there. And one of them was an aberration. So that is why there are grants for dissolution of marriage. They want to make it difficult for even people who want to go, who have done it, as even as content Christians or who willingly did it, to get out of it. So for Muslims that have gone into it, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them. But I'm not saying it's impossible. Difficulties is not simple as impossibilities. We can be dancing around that and see how we can do it. But it's important that you in your mind that you regret that you went into it. And that you also looking for ways you want to get out of it. So that we satisfied with Nikah and Nikah and Nikah for us and our children. That is one. The second thing is about one of the advantages. Now, in the recent days, a government that I'm previously part of, delivered by one of the high colleges here in Lagos, this sister of ours got a very popular Muslim family. But a lot of us here know the family, but I won't mention the name. Died intestate, also died childless. And they conducted the marriage according to their siblings, the sibling of the wife now, the late wife now. They never knew that they went to do the marriage under the act. They are well over by now. The husband who is still living is close to 70. So now we're not talking about children now. Not that I say it's not about our children. Many people did it in the past. Now when the wife died, the husband probably went to the registry to take letter of administration. The family of the wife, the sixth wife now, consulted us in my own bed and gave us name, including the name of the husband, to apply for letter of administration. When we got to the registry, the registry, the first thing that we do is conduct search. They conduct search and found that the husband has taken the administration out without informing the wife's family. Now we told the wife family who are now our friends. They said they were never told about it. And that when they now will now further do a lot of search, the husband has started to sell the properties and so on. Now he put his name and put the name of one of the siblings of the wife as administrators. But fraudulently, and I can do that one with every sense of decency, after taking the information out, he opened an account. He never opened any account, the estate account. He got salary, he got checks from the former place of work of the deceased wife, written the name of the two administrators, his own name and that sibling's name. And even with that, he was able to clear checks, which is fraudulent. All of us know. You can only take advantage of a particular legislative instrument with it is your name, or there's an endorsement by the two parties on it. There was nothing like that. Now, the family of the wife fell into big agreed not to do that thing, and we went to court to set aside that letter of administration. I'm saying this for us to know that application for us, if we continue to do what Allah said we should not do, we went to court to set it aside. It took about 10 years. We were able to do it just last year. And our only this year, was delivered. We won. The court, now, we won. That is, we were able to set it aside. But the court said, no, we are able to prove fraud. But the only reason that we won was that because we were able to prove that the husband is not the only person that can apply or inherit the wife under the application of estate law of Lagos State, which the professor referred to. So those of us, I would say, particularly females, who think by pushing your husband or your spouse or your daughter's spouse to go and do social marriage, she will marry you, she will inherit the husband alone, you are only fooling yourself. There are also those that we have in Islam, people that can inherit us, also the use of estate law, that people that can inherit. And what put this one out was that as at the time we went to court, we were very crazy about who were the plaintiffs for payment. we specially picked one of them who was a sibling of the wife of full blood from the same mother. And a sibling of same mother can inherit along with the remainder spouse. And that was why we were able to win this case. The point I'm making is this. Please, we do not have any advantage by doing what Allah has not happened. There are challenges everywhere in the world. Any system that we find, there are some challenges. But if we find challenges along the course of Allah, good for us, because we know that by Innama and Usrah, Innama and Usrah. Assalamu alaikum.
I would like to thank our lecturer of today for the in-depth lecturing he has given us. I would also like to thank the companion also for deeming it to also bring him here. But my own is a suggestion, it's not a question. There are some things that have been bothering the criterion that I would also like. I mean, this topic has reminded me that it's something that we need to discuss. I don't deny that we have been seeing some changes in recent times. The criterion has a program, a marriage counseling program. We've been doing it for quite a while. And then we've been able to talk to our sisters, the young ladies. We always talk to them, we counsel them, we do also. But we don't find anybody to talk to the young men. Until recently, we have been doing marriage counseling over 5-6 years. Until recently my brother just came in. Almost 20 years. So what I realize is that all these are brothers. Because we have a lot of divorce cases. We need people to talk to all these young men also. We talk to the girls all the time. We need you to also, and I want to even recommend that the companion organizes a seminar. Maybe for young men, all these young men. Please talk to them. There are some things they need to know that they don't know. Because they don't have all the elders talking to them about it. They just burst into that marriage and then they find themselves into it and they can't handle it. So I just want to implore us, please, the companion, as a way of even giving back to the society, please organize a seminar for the young men. Talk to them about marriage. Talk to them about, these are our topics today. We will do our own bit and talk to the ladies. Please, I would like to say, thank you very much.
Okay, before the second question, our national leader will thank you for that, but you are equally acknowledged that we participated on this end.
Yes.
The one that was held 2 weeks ago, I was part of it.
That was the first time.
Not the first time. I've been attending for over 2 years. I can tell you that I've been attending for over 2 years. That's for over 2 years. That I've been attending. So number 2 is that there is a program. Wait now. There's a program that we're trying to come up with the criterion Lagos district. There is a program we're coming up with the criterion Lagos district. If the Amira is here, she will testify to this. It has to do with what you have just raised now. We are doing it together. And we're going to do it together. Just to tell you that we're working on it. You can confirm from the Amira of the criterion Lagos district. So the second question.
Yes. In addition to what my sister Prof said, I wouldn't want us to be to marriage and marriage. There are many bad boys outside now. Many bad boys. Boys that are very dangerous. And looking at what can be the cause of all this is because the society has laid more emphasis on tutoring and mentoring of female children more than male children. This, in addition to marriage, careers, and other things, and focus on training of male children.
Yes, number 2.
My question is actually based on authenticating various marriage certificates. Because sometimes some sisters mosque or the various Islamic organizations are not as authentic. And this is also based on the fact that we go to the various embassies, we tender such certificates, and they insist on certificates from the court or the registry. So how do we begin to authenticate the various certificates from Islamic organizations so that sisters are not tempted to go the registry route? Because I know a couple who has been in marriage, in fact, after 4 children, the wife had to drag the husband to the registry. He said because of
All right, we thank you, ma'am.
Please, I want to call our attention to the challenge we may face in promoting the Muslim Marriage Registration Act in our states. In spite of the 5 points that were raised to advise the government that it will not cost them money and all that. If the government, and the question will come, that what do we therefore do? If the government shows interest in registration, they will also want to show interest in where the marriages need to be dissolved. And that will now require setting up a Sharia court and all associated with the dissolution of marriage. How do we now go?
Please, everybody can do more. Please. These are the closures, but they are not their own fight. Anything you say there is just one out. Please.
I think I've gotten the question now. Yes.
1 minute for each question. Please go straight to your question.
Yes. I think as important as this topic, I would prefer that we have a situation where larger society, where larger number of people are well educated about this thing. Many of us from polygamous home, we still face some of these challenges. And the challenge is this: if, for instance, àwọn bàbá wa tó ti kú yẹn, ogún ẹlòmíì wọn ti pín di sí i, and it's because of the type of marriage that they engage in. I would be of the view that apart from the companion, can we find a synergy with other organizations? Because this thing cannot push it alone. If we find a synergy with Islamic organizations, I think those issues will be taken to the government, and we find most of our wives now, their certificate is old.
One, is there a record of any man who has been prosecuted and jailed for violating the Marriage Act? 2, at the moment, what are the documents that are accepted from the Muslims? Are those places that we mentioned, whether at the embassy or NYC or and so on? What are the documents that are accepted, the standard, to show that we are married as Muslims?
Number 4. Straight to your question, no time.
Mine is just a brief comment, and that comment is on the 7 years imprisonment. I'm not changing by name. My daughter is into this double-gender marriage. And what happened? After 3 children, she called me, they are going to registry. Registry. She said they needed a certificate in case they may need it at the embassy. Okay, they fixed a date, we met at the registry. What is now funny to me is this question that we are asking the mother, when they got to cannot marry the second wife, the brother first wife, damn, whether to answer me or not, 7 years imprisonment, we've been delayed. So I'm happy to be here today that in Lagos State, that law is not valid. So I proudly say, my daughter's husband, I will let my daughter know that this 7 years imprisonment, not that I know is not applicable.
Number 5.
regarding will, how to write will, because only Allah knows the reason why Prof brought this issue of will at this point in time. But this point of reference, please exchange that particular slide along with this slide so that be of something of benefit for us. And some people can also even fall back on it from how to write the will.
So the Prof will now answer our question. But there are some questions that Ustaz will answer. Ustaz, we are going to answer question on admissibility of the certificates that we give them as companion. Then there is a question there. A sister, I think it's a sister that wrote, please, what of the people that marry in front of their houses? That is just the local affair that put them together. No certificate, no nothing. So, I wonder let me just say, please, what of those who did their marriage at the front of their father's house, according to Muslim rites, and it was Imam that gave them certificate, and it was not a society, and does not have any society name, maybe it's under Imam's name or the first name.
Let me quickly go through it. Authentication of marriage certificate. No marriage certificate will be authentic unless it comes from a licensed place of worship that has been licensed to issue that certificate. If it's not English law, if it's not the registry one, no other one is valid for the purpose of court recognition. However, you want to go to embassy or you want to go to NYSC, it is simple. People just want to do this marriage act. They have more than that in their mind. They cannot become an embassy. The reason is this: a lot of people go to embassy and they give them. We have wives who will go and they will not ask specifically where you are. The one both of you are not going, they will not. But if you really buy wives and some other things, you do an affidavit. The lawyers there, they know, they will do an affidavit for you. And you say that you are so. Now you marry under Islamic law, which was celebrated by society, the celebrate of which is attached. You now attach that as you do the oath in court, and it is enough. It is recognized every other place. That is that. It's just the lawyers here. Use your lawyers. You have them. Registration alone not enough. The solution. Well, we have been on it in Lagos State. The problem is that very few hands are working. When we talk about Muslim lawyers, very few hands are working. Most of us who are parents, when your children are in university, you only allow them to join Muslim law student society. And even they join, by the time they finish, don't allow them to join Muslim law association. So that's why we have people working. A lot of things to do, but very few people. So many of you don't even bother whether your children who are lawyers are members of Muslim law association. In fact, a lot of problems are on that already. Many of us are not even practicing Islam because of what you are practicing. Because you are not close or you are not moving with those people you're supposed to move with. So that is that. So registration for now, section 7 of the Constitution allows local government to register marriages. It's one of those you want to tell Lagos State. It is constitutionally prescribed. You can register. They don't know. In the court, a lot of people don't know the law they are holding. It is there. You can register under Section 7 in the local government. And very soon, inshallah, we have people here to constitute the committee. And let us not be appropriately. It will be recognized. We will be able to do that. On the solution of marriage, Sharia Court, we have been on that in Lagos for years. When Mazula was there, he dribbled us, he did not do it in the left. The other one had left, the other one is here now. But we have not spoken out enough. So that is that. Then somebody said because it's only a polygamous marriage that brings about one. No. Even monogamous, I don't want to mention. There was somebody who died. He left 9 billion naira. 3 children. Is it not enough to take 3 billion? And they continue fighting. The 3 children became 6. The wives, the spouses joined. Then later became 12. Father and mother joined. Then they become other polygamous. For years, it is not disputed. Up to now, not disputed. So it's not only polygamous, it's in the monogamous family too. Then another one, is a record of someone who has been jailed. Is a record of someone who has been jailed for marrying a wife. After death, we have about 2 or 3. But let me tell you, countless number of people have been disadvantaged as a result of that law. Forget about being gay. A lady who thinks she's covered or she has covered because she marries under the act is fooling herself. A man properly what is called. Any man who is a man, I'm not talking about MAN, no. Any man is a man. The wife cannot go to court and come back winning. I won't say more than that. Unless you are not a man. So the issue of going to court because he marries another wife, you hardly win. Women hardly win. In fact, most of the time, they come back weeping, crying, and become more dejected. That is why Lagos State, that's one of the arguments why Lagos State said, remove it. Because it has not been assisting. If you leave everything will come paralyzed, the family, everything. Because it's not so easy to win a man in court when it comes to that. That is that. Then, is there what document can you present to NYSC have answered? I think by and large, we have answered it. We are going to, but I don't want to advise, not like the Santa said. After as long as people not to pontificate anything that has to do with Islam, they say that it is truthful, it is this, that just what they are about to say that not for me. The one we are saying is, if you have any problem at all, go to lawyers. Don't let it be that after the problem might have reached a serious form, compounded, become complex, that you go to lawyers. Go to lawyers right from now and explain. There may be a way out. Who knows?
Finally, we want to inform us, some of us might have heard this story. There was a story of a boy, an Hafiz al-Quran in Ikorodu. He was murdered. And I think members of Muslim lawyers, Lagos State, stepped in. And how I got to know was that they were having issues with police. So we had to call some of the officers that we know to assist us in Wanti, because they said DPO in Ikorodu was playing France and the people in Wanti. But I was supposed to call them back on Monday because they went on Monday. And we have equally, companion has called Muslim community of Lagos. They told Professor Banamoshi that we will use the name of Muslim community, that whatever the Muslims are doing, they are doing it on behalf of all the Muslims in the state. Why this? Because we get to hear this, some of the stories are going to be turned upside down. What really happened was, the last time they saw of the boy was that he was in company of another child. I think that child is older than him. The next thing they will see, they were looking for the boy for some days. After they found his body in an uncompleted building, mutilated. So, which shows that it's a cultist thing. So, this is to inform us that our children, we have to be careful with people they move around with. Anybody, you can't vouch, any child, you don't know his parents, you don't know his lineage. Don't let a child come and say, we met in school, this, that. They've wasted the life of a 14-year-old boy who is an absolute Quran. May Allah grant him respite and the parents. So, the point here is, the companion will join the Muslim lawyers and Muslim community of Lagos to fight this case to a logical conclusion. This, for those of you living in Ikorodu, that Ikorodu assist is becoming another problem for cultism. We have to be very careful. Our members that live in Ikorodu is becoming an area where all sorts of issues about people being killed for occultic purpose are rampant. So we have to inform us this and to caution us to make sure that our children move. Then we are using this medium equally to appeal to those of us that have children that are lawyers. Let them join Muslim Lawyers Association. It was because they were available. That was why they could go to Panti, because the parents of this particular boy do not have money to prosecute the case. And if we don't have members of Muslim Lawyers Association that are willing to do the case as they say pro bono, the child's right might be hard to come back. So please and please, let us call our children that are lawyers that they should please join Muslim Lawyers Association. So we thank Allah for His mercies. We thank Allah that we proposed. We decided to have this topic about a month ago, and Allah has made it easy for us to do. We thank Allah for our Prof, for the kind of effort that's put into it. He just came back from Cotonou yesterday, and it was even right why we see me standing up and coming back, because he actually prepared the slides, those slides while he was coming here. And to be painful if we can't use that. He turned, and you are going to pay for that too. He turned his wife into his driver, and he was doing the slide. So please, we thank Allah for this. Let's Subhanaka Allah Rabbika Shallah to the Subhana Rabbika. One more thing, please wait. Please wait. There's an important information. There was something mentioned by Prof, and someone sent me something about it. It has to do with changing of names. It's an issue among the scholars of Islam. It's an issue among the scholars of Islam. But me, despite the fact that my wife bear my name, where I lean towards is don't change your name. And we should equally encourage this among our children, because that is the best, that is the easier option. Because if we get to Allah now says not changing name is the proper thing, then we are in trouble. But for those of us that have done it, let's leave ourselves. But for the children, let them bear their father's name. Because there are, like I said, there are arguments on both sides of the divide. But when you have scholars arguing about a particular thing, take the lesser one. Don't go to those of us that are there. Let us be praying that we don't have issues over it.
Ya Allah, Ya Rabb al-Alamin, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim.